Most people find their way to the healing codes because they have opened up through the use of prayer or beseeching, or by discovering that some spark of hope exists within them, which has convinced them that there is something better for their lives. By opening up, they attract the healing codes into their field of experience. The question is, what is possible for them and for each of us, and what determines what is possible? A lot of people invest their power and energy into factors such as DNA, in our backgrounds, genetic makeup, education, and all kinds of things that we would have experienced in a life. They make up or decide that because of this or that, they can be successful, or because of this or that, they cannot be successful. Is it true? No, I don't think so. I believe that what determines what is possible for each of us is the way we process information from our environments. Those environments put out environmental signals, and it is the meanings we give to those signals that we receive that determines our relationship with success. Our ability to translate those environmental signals and see them as empowering, as good, as effective, as beneficial, allows us to translate them into a higher vibration fuel. If, on the other hand, we translate those signals into threats, our bodies automatically, physiologically, will shift into fight or flight because that stress has that effect on us. Being in fight or flight will make us react faster, but to think poorly, make faster decisions, but worse decisions, and literally disadvantage us in so many normal situations. Who determines what is possible for us? I am a big believer in the power that we normally call God. But is it God who has predetermined what we are capable of, what we can achieve, what level of happiness we can experience? Some people want to hold God responsible for their suffering, and they accept that that's as good as it's going to get. Other people attribute their success or failure to their parents being either good or bad at their jobs of being parents. Some people would suggest that our connections, our good old boy network, is what will help us to succeed, and probably what has helped other people to succeed rather than talent. Would you look at our bosses who have mentored us, or not, as the source of what's possible for us? Maybe they determined our futures. Maybe other authority figures have decided that for us. Is that really true, or are we the ones? If we take the right and the responsibility for ourselves, aren't we the ones who can determine what is possible for us? When we are the ones who have the desire, make the decisions, and take action, don't we show that we are willing to learn and grow, and to expand our awareness of who and what we really are? Can't we discover why we are here, what our purpose is, and what the effective rules in the game of life are? Who is better than us to make that determination as to what is possible for us? When we look at life, it's pretty easy to notice that we have problems, and problems can be viewed from various levels. Problems are not determined by our goodness or badness. We talk about problems as energy processing issues, information processing issues. We live in environments and we process environmental signals. The conditions in our lives are the direct result of how effective we are at processing those signals. Problems are indicators of our effectiveness or ineffectiveness at processing signals. If we look at our history, we may see that it was loaded with problems. We can turn those experiences into strengths and skills rather than to continue carrying the weight of them on our backs. We can shift our relationship to those past events, those past meanings that we've attached to those events. Instead, many of us resist that letting go. In the healing codes, our approach is to deal with issues of the heart. We think that dealing with things on the spiritual, energetic level is the key with dealing with the root causes of our issues. The spiritual energetic approach lets us look deeper than just the surface level, deeper than the symptoms, deeper than appearances, and we can define how the information of environmental signals was ineffectively translated. We can translate them again, but this time more effectively. A higher vibration interpretation is empowering. That serves us rather than disadvantages us. Everybody is familiar with the idea of emotions, but not necessarily the different ways to look at those emotions. That's what I want to talk about. Imagine standing on the steps of a ladder with your view changing depending on which step you're standing on, as well as which direction you're facing. You would think that's a no-brainer. Emotions are essentially like steps on a ladder. Depending on which emotional state you're in, your view is going to change. Your view of God, your view of yourself, other people, opportunity, life, and what's possible will all change depending on the emotional state or the step in the emotional ladder that you happen to be standing on at that moment. There are a couple of convenient ways to look at emotions, and I like the idea that scales are convenient. David Hawkins, in his book Power versus Force, outlined the emotions in a scale that he calls the map of consciousness. It's a terrific scale, and it is available inside that book, Power versus Force. Abraham Hicks has a list of emotions they call the scale of emotions, starting at joy, knowledge, and other high-level emotions, and then it goes down another 22 or so steps to lower vibrations. Personally, I find a modified version of the Sedona method scale more useful because it's easy to remember, easy to use, and it consists of 10 specific emotional states. Starting at the bottom with shame and going upward, goes from shame to apathy to grief to fear, upward to lust, anger, then pride. And the top 3 steps or top 3 states in this 10 emotional state scale are courageousness, acceptance, and peace. If we imagine these 10 emotional states as filters or lenses through which energy comes to us, it's helpful. We use those filters or those lenses to translate signals. As we move upward, our worldview changes. As we go upward, it changes for the better. If we were to go downward on that scale, it changes for the worse. If it goes upward, we tend to attract things we want. If it goes downward, we tend to attract things and see things we don't want. By looking at the conditions in our lives, we can recognize pretty quickly which step of the ladder, what lens, what filter we're using. We can make changes in the way we view ourselves and our world by removing the perceptions of threats from our past experiences and changing our overall relationship with life. Therein lies the promise of the healing codes. For more information about the healing codes and how they can be used by you, please click on the link below or send an email to me, Tom Costello, one word, @thehealingcodes.com.